So today we're going to be going over the standard characters that you will be able to get here in Honkai Star Rail, and we'll also go over their abilities, guys, so I can tell you guys which I think is the best standard unit and how should you guys approach. Now most of the time I always say don't pull on the standard banner because I'd rather be pulling on a character specific banner that they have instead of the standard unit banner, because the standard banner will always be there forever and they will not move. And it's also just like in Genshin Impact, where you'll be able to pull on a character banner and then there's a chance you can get the banner character, but it's a 50% chance. But if you don't get them, you'll get a unit from the standard banner, and then after that you're guaranteed to get that unit. So that's why I always say don't go for the standard banners, guys. You'll be pulling them in these banners anyways. And most of the time, the way Hoyoverse does things, when they do come out with character banners, they more than likely will be a limited time banner. So once they go away, we don't know when their next rerun or when they're going to be back into the pool. That's why I always say spend on the character specific banners and you should be fine. But because you're going to be pulling these standard banner units anyways, let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at them. And also there's going to be a beginner war banner where you're guaranteed to get a 5-star after you do 50 pulls on this banner. Now every 10 pulls you do on this banner is 20% off, so actually it will only cost you 8 Star Rail passes instead of 10 until you reach that 50 mark, and you'll be able to get your first 5-star unit. Now the units you will be able to pull is Bronya, Clara, Japard, Himeko, and Waltz. These are the 5-star standard banner units, so let's go ahead and take a look at them a little bit more in depth. Okay, so the first unit we're going to be going over is Bronya. She is a 5-star wind unit that specializes in support, and her first ability basically is a basic attack that she does damage that does 50% of wind damage. It's very simple, very basic, but that's what that does. And now her second ability, she can actually choose herself or her ally, and she could debuff and also increase damage done by 25%, and it also advances the unit by 100%. So what that means, guys, is once a character is here at the top, that means that's their turn. Now once they take their turn, they go all the way back down here to the back of the line, basically at 0%. Now characters have abilities that make you advance in the line or decrease in the line, but Bronya, she advances herself or one of her allies by 100%, meaning they're going to advance 100%. If it was 25, they would have gone like up here, 50% would have been here, 75% is here, but 100 is here, right? So they can instantly get a turn, and you can get the DPS to take their turn, or a tank or a healer if you need it. But most of the time it's going to be a DPS because it increases their damage by 25%, which is really strong. It's also removing one of the debuffs. Very strong ability. And this is how it looks, where she can either choose herself or the ally, and boom, there it is. Okay, and for her ultimate, guys, what this does is basically another supporting ability where she's going to increase the attack and crit damage of all your allies by 30%. So a very good move, and it's good in amplifying your entire team's damage overall. And she has great support ability by removing debuffs and advancing your characters. So very solid 5-star character. Now Bronya has a passive where after every basic attack she does, she advances herself by 15%, which is very good because she's going to be pushing herself to take a turn so she can get skill points, and so she can keep buffing your characters and dispelling and advancing your DPS if needed. So now for techniques, guys, is the abilities that you can use before going into battle. Now her technique, basically she can use it, she basically drops a flag and she gives an attack boost to all your allies by 15% before going into that battle. So it's very solid. She brings a lot to support abilities, so I really like Bronya so far a lot. Okay, next we got Japard, guys, which he is a 5-star ice tank defensive unit, guys, and this is his basic attack. Basically it's a single attack that does 50% ice damage. And for his second ability, guys, he's gonna go ahead and hit the target for 100% of ice damage, and he's gonna have a 65% chance of triggering freeze. Now if the enemy is frozen, he will also take ice damage over time. And for his ultimate, guys, he's basically just gonna go ahead and put a shield on all your allies that's gonna be able to protect your allies, and the shield does actually scale by 30% of Japard's defense, so you're gonna want to build a lot of defense on him. Then his talent, guys, if he takes fatal damage and he dies, he actually won't die. He'll go ahead and recovers his HP by 25%, and this will only trigger once per battle. So yeah, very nice ability, so he doesn't die, so you can stay up and try to keep supporting your allies with the shields and trying to CC the enemies. And for Japard's technique, guys, when he procs it before going into battle, he actually increases the defense of all your units by 15%. Okay, next we got Himeko, guys, and she is a 5-star AoE damage specialist. And for her basic attack is a single target damaging ability that does 50% of fire damage. And for Himeko's second ability, she's basically going to do damage to a single target, but it's also going to do 40% damage to the targets on the side of them. The majority of this damage is going to come initially, and then after it drops down from 100% to 40% on the adjacent units. And then for Himeko's ultimate, guys, called Heavenly Flames, if it does AoE damage, and when she takes out an enemy, she will be getting 10 energy. Now, energy is what they use to refill their ultimate, so that's really, really good. So she can get her ultimate back quite quickly, guys, especially if it's a mob of enemies or a swarm. She's definitely going to get a lot of energy back. And then for her passive talent, guys, when she has 100% energy, meaning when she has full ultimate, if one of your allies attack, she's going to actually follow up with her ally and attack and do an AoE attack that hits everyone for 75% of her damage, which this is great for clearing stages that have a lot of enemies on it and stuff like that. And just the follow-up attack is always great for extra damage. This is really, really incredible, guys, but you got to make sure that you have 100% energy with her in order for you to do the follow-up attacks. And also with this passive, when you break a character's weakness, you go ahead and actually get 3 energy for Himeko. She is a energy recharging machine. And then Himeko's technique, guys, is called Burning Zone, where she'll leave a burning zone around. And if you go into battle, this zone will actually make it so they take 10% more fire damage. So this is really good, especially when you get later towards the end game, when you have like a straight up mono fire team. This will be good to amplify their damage. Next, we got Welt, guys. He is a 5-star imaginary unit that focuses on debuffing the enemies. And for his basic attack, guys, he does a single target damage that does 50% of imaginary damage. And for his second ability, guys, he's gonna actually hit a single target enemy 3 times for a total of 90% of damage. And he has a 60% chance to apply speed down, and it reduces their speed by 15%. Now this is pretty strong, guys, because when you do apply that slowdown for him, the turn meter, it actually slows them down. So your speed is gonna be lower, and because your speed is lower, people that are faster than you are going to actually be able to move up in the line a lot faster. So this is a very good ability, especially in PvP and stuff, guys, but we don't know about that yet. And for his ultimate here, guys, he's actually going to do an AoE ability that hits all enemies and is going to apply imprisonment on everyone. Now everyone that has imprisonment is going to get their speed lowered down by 15%, and what the imprisonment buff does is makes the enemy take more damage. And enemies that are imprisoned, they're gonna have their turn delayed, meaning it's just gonna be harder for them to get a turn even more. Welt is a very, very good unit, especially at manipulating turns, which is a very, very powerful thing in turn-based games. And for his passive, guys, if an enemy has been applied slow already, which is the debuff that decreases their speed, he will do 25% more damage. Also, I forgot to note, guys, on the ability that he can hit a target 3 times, this one right here, it's actually a random hitting ability, so it's not actually single target. Each hit can hit a different target, which is good because that way you can spread around the slow and not just focus on one slow on one person. Okay, guys, and his technique is actually pretty insane. So he's gonna go and put a black hole zone around him, and enemies that are hit in this black hole zone will have their speed decreased by 15% and also have a 100% chance of having imprisonment. Now imprisonment, if you guys know, it delays their turn by 20%, which means, you know how I explained to you guys earlier on how advancement pushes the person to go up in the line. When you delay someone, you're just pushing them back in the line, so you're pushing them back by 20%, which helps you immensely, so you can go ahead and take your turns first while pushing them back at the same time and reducing their speed, which is kind of nuts. And last but not least, guys, we have Clara. She is a 5-star physical unit that focuses on dealing damage in general. Okay, with Clara, I'm gonna start off with her talent, guys, which I've been calling a passive this whole time. But basically, she's gonna have like this robot guarding her, and that robot's gonna make her take 15% less damage. Every time she gets damaged, that robot is gonna mark them with a debuff. Now that they have this debuff, if they attack her again, while they have that mark on, he's gonna go ahead and attack them. So this is how it's gonna look, how when they do attack him, he's gonna come in and block that for them. And that guy had the mark, so he's gonna go ahead and attack him. I guess when the enemy attacks them, they instantly get the mark, so he's gonna attack them right away. And for her basic attack, guys, she's just gonna come in and do 50% physical attack. And for her second ability, guys, Claire is gonna do damage, AoE damage to the enemies. and enemies that are marked will take another 100% more of Claire's attack as damage. Also keep in mind guys, when you do the second ability and he comes in and does the attack, it actually removes all the marks as well. And for her ultimate guys, when she does this, she's gonna go ahead and proc a 15% reduction in damage, and then she's also going to not taunt the enemies, but it has a higher chance of her getting attacked. And also now her counter ability from the robot is actually her allies will be able to use it. So if her allies get attacked, the robot will go ahead and attack them and do an AoE attack on top of that, and it does more damage. So it's an enhanced counter attack. It will be up for 2 turns, so it's very solid for protecting your teammates and just dishing out more damage. Another thing to note is that you do not need the marks when you have that ult and the enhanced counter attack up. It's guaranteed for him to counter attack. Now Claire's technique before going into battle, when you use it, this actually increases the likelihood of her getting attacked. So this is interesting how that works. It's not considered a taunt, so I guess it is what it is. Okay, now that we're done with the standard banner units guys, who do I think is the best 5-star standard character here? To be honest, I'm gonna place Bronya as number 1 just because the buffs to the team is gonna be so good with the dispelling, with her dispelling debuffs off of you and cleansing you, and moving your team up towards the turns and advancing everyone, which is very valuable. That's gonna be good. And then number 2 I would say would probably be Japar, just because he has CC in his kit and he'll go ahead and be able to buff your allies from taking any drastic damage. So he's very good and very defensive as well. Mix him in with Bronya and you have a combination of increasing attack and defense. I can see them being very useful, especially in the late game when the enemies start hitting like trucks. And then for the third, I would say Welt, just because I believe turn manipulation is very strong. And for PvP, honestly, he would be amazing if they have that in this game. But even then, like, you'll still be able to manipulate the enemies and stuff on their turns and drop their speed, which is kind of nuts, and also make them take more damage. So I would say Welt is the third, and then I would go with Himeko with the fourth. But honestly, these two are about, I would say, tied for me, Himeko and Welt. But Himeko is a great AoE damage dealer that does a bunch of damage and gets a lot of energy and follows up with her allies to do more attacks. But Himeko is also very good, but more for AoE and stuff like that. And then I would place Clara at number 5. I think Clara is good, but if she's not getting attacked, that means she's not putting those marks on people, so it's gonna be hard to generate those counterattacks. I mean, until she ults, but you know, you'll still need to do abilities in order to gain energy and stuff like that, so you can build up your ult. That is who I consider to be the best pulls here in the for the standard banner units. You guys let me know in the comments down below who you guys like the most, and if you like, you can rank them as well and tell me why. Other than that guys, make sure you like the video if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.